So recently it's been made more and more clear that indie is absolutely crushing AAA in game sales, in praise, in recognition, in cultural significance. And that's not an accident. It's an inevitability. And why that is what we're going to talk about in this video. So I'm going to use EA as an example to make my point. Now, they're one of the worst offenders when it comes to everything that people are upset about. But they're also the best example that I can think of, that I can find for this. So if you look at their sales numbers, for 2024, if you're looking at game purchases or money that they made on full games, right? According to their own reports, $333 million. That's a pretty big chunk of change, right? But it's dwarfed by their live service numbers, which is $1.4 billion. Think about that. $1.4 billion. That is over 4 times the amount of money on actual game sales. So when you think about that, it makes sense. Like the moves that they're making, if you understand their mindset, and their mindset is money. Understand that these people are not here to make the best games possible. They're not here to make your life better. They're here to make money. They're publicly traded companies. That means that they have a responsibility to their shareholders to make more money next year than they made this year. That's their job. That's their only job. And that's why they operate like this. These are investments for their shareholders. These are a way to fight and combat inflation. Inflation has become a big issue. And I'm going to make this part really quick. But a perfect example of this is if you have $100 in your pocket and inflation is 2%, and you have that $100 next year, you really have $98 worth of value. 2%, $2. Multiply that by 1 million. Multiply that by 10 million, 100 million. If you're sitting on $1 billion worth of cash, how much are you losing year over year? $20 million. 20 million that you've lost. That's the mindset. That's the goal. And that's why they're willing to say anything and do anything to make that number go up. That's what they're scared of. They're scared of not being as rich next year as they are this year. And when you look at things through that lens, when you understand that these people live entirely different lives, driving cars that cost more than the average person makes in a year, sometimes 10 times that, sometimes multiples of those cars are in their garages. These are the lifestyles that these people want to live. And that's why they're robbing this industry, because they can. They can get away with it for now. But it's not all doom and gloom. See, here's the sunny side. This is not sustainable. And we're already seeing the cracks in the pavement. What they've built over these decades and decades are starting to crumble. They're starting to fall apart. The foundation is crumbling, and the whole building is going to come down. And they know it. It's only a matter of time. And this is where indie wins. If you're an indie publisher, it costs you, let's say, $100,000 to make a game, and you make, $150,000 off that game, you can make another game and still have $50,000. That's sustainable. If it costs you $10,000 to make a game, if you can make a game in your spare time and then sell it and make $1 million off of it, How many more games can you make? That's the barrier of success. That's the difference. Indies don't need to make billions of dollars. Indies don't need to even make more next year than they made this year. They just need to make their money back so that they can keep making it. And yes, I can already hear some people in the comments, most indies fail. Of course they do. Most businesses fail. But we're talking about hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands of different game makers out there working because they love what they do. You can't compete with that. At the scale that these companies are at, they are unsustainable. That's why indie's crushing it, because they're putting attention to detail. They're putting love into their games. They're making the kind of games that they want to play. That's why Silksong is crushing it. That's why Baldur's Gate crushed it and is still crushing it. People will still be buying that game for years to come that have never played it. And Larian will continue to make money off that and put it into the next project. Because that's what they love doing. It's no contest. It's just a matter of time. So when you're seeing all the, I don't want to call it rage baiting, but when you see all the negativity out there, because there's a lot of it, just know that great games are going to continue to be made. We, as the people with the money, because understand that these companies, they're making that $1.4 billion off of you. And now maybe you're, watching this video and you don't spend anything on microtransactions. Maybe you only spend $10, but they got your $10. If we all refuse to participate in this system, the system stops. It ceases to be. All of us are not going to do that, but if enough of us do, it crumbles. It's just a matter of us shifting our priorities, deciding where we're going to spend our money. And Silksong releasing for such a small price, Larian deciding not to do DLC and just enhance the game that they already made and move on to the next one, that's terrifying to these companies, to these AAA behemoths. That's terrifying because they can't compete. They already couldn't. But now, no contest. And if there's one thing that I can leave you with, it's this. How many games are out there? $25 games, $20 games, $10 games, $5 games are out there ready and available to you, made by people who actually enjoyed making them, who actually care if you enjoy playing them. How many more hours can you spend on these games? How much bigger of a library can you have available to you instead of paying that $70, instead of buying all those cosmetics and a game that's going to be gone next year? How many jobs are going to be created when these companies fail? Because if the demand's still there and the money's still there, and a company that was making $1 billion is gone, that's $1 billion worth of money that people are willing to spend. That's a lot of new companies. That's a lot of new indie developers with a chance to make a living doing something they love for people that love it. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed.